Hello again. We're continuing with the session called the Flipping in Classroom. We're now looking at part number 3. I want to focus on some of the possibilities that come with using a video in class formula. In other words, we are doing a flipped classroom, but not traditionally as is often done with a video outside of class or before the class, but actually using the video in class. Okay? One area of independent learning for a student is the whole area of focusing on the task, focusing on doing what the teacher wants a student to do. And that happens when you have the video in class, because some students will be very quick and they will get going with the video and then get on with the task, while other students will take quite a while to even turn on their computer or their iPad and get going. So with the environment where everybody is at a different stage, not like a traditional flipped classroom where everybody arrives and everybody has actually watched the video and then you start with a new activity as a group. When you have video in class, as we do, then everybody is very quickly at a different stage and the student is surrounded by people that are doing different things. And this is a very good environment to learn focus, to focus on the task, to focus on the watching the video and focusing on doing the task that the teacher has set. Now this can happen in different ways, but let's say you have an hour and a half where students can work freely, and then you have a feedback session, a checkpoint, just like 20 minutes before the end of the second period, for example. Then students who work fast, they have the incentive of having a longer break. Also, let's say you let students leave when they're finished, which is an even increased sense of incentive to get going with the task and to move on. But in either way, you need some kind of checkpoint. So if you let students leave, maybe they can leave after they've done some kind of Socratic quiz or something similar. Another area for learner training and to help a student become more independent as a learner is the whole area of the video being done in class, which means that the teacher can help students to become more aware of the control they have with the video, because they can pause, they can rewind, they can stop, they can listen to the same section twice. When a student is at home doing the video ahead of the lesson, obviously we can talk about it, but you're not actually there. Whereas if you're doing the in-class video, then you are there and you can see what the students are doing, and you can give little hints and help them to realize that they can take control over the listening and stop and start and rewind as necessary. One of the greatest advantages of using a flip model is really the face-to-face time that you get. And if you want to maximize this, it's important when you choose the checkpoints in your class that you do something that is not very intrusive. For example, surveys like the ones we've done, or online quizzes, or students responding by writing on an online wall like Padlet. These things will free you up more than if you have something when you ask students to come to you and show you work at the end of a particular activity. Helping students focus and helping them realize they can use the pause and rewind button, these things might not seem very profound and they are fairly basic, I suppose. However, if you want to take the flipped classroom a step further, you might want to consider flipping Bloom's taxonomy as well. Bloom's traditional approach of learning and different levels of thinking start with the lower levels, like remembering and understanding, which are considered basic forms of thinking and learning skills. Whereas if you go to the higher end ones, like creating, analyzing, evaluating and creating, these are considered the high level thinking skills. Now with the flipped classroom, there are also people now arguing that we should not just flip the classroom, but also our understanding of what is higher and lower level. So they suggest that we should start with creating and evaluating and analyzing at the very beginning and move the other way. So you might want to consider this. Shelley Wright was one of the first people to argue this, and It's also been coined here Bloom's 21 for 21st century learning skills. So Shelley Wright is one of the pioneers here, and she has written articles about this. And if you use Google and put in words like Flip Blooms and Shelley Wright, you will find her ideas very quickly. Now, I just want to point out that she did a very basic or an overview of an English language class. She was focusing on writing, where she started with the higher end areas like creativity, evaluation and analysis in her lesson plan, and then moving towards applying what is learned, and then research, and then basically organizing the language rules that are learned through the research. Now, this might be something that could be of interest, and if you are interested in taking the flipped classroom further, you might also want to consider flipping Bloom's taxonomy. And I think that some of these ideas could be applied to a flipped classroom approach, as well as just using it in a normal classroom setting. Okay, it's time for task number 3. Could you please come and collect task number 3? Thank you.